Welcome to Autism Entrepreneurship, the podcast by Divershines. Today, we're diving into an inspiring conversation with Patrick Bardsley, co-founder and CEO of Spectrum Designs Foundation, a groundbreaking social enterprise where over 50% of the workforce is on the autism spectrum. Patrick has redefined what inclusive employment looks like, proving that businesses can thrive while making a real impact. In this episode, we'll explore his journey, the challenges of building a mission-driven company, and what the future holds for neurodivergent entrepreneurs. If you are passionate about inclusion, business, or simply love a good success story, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
Thank you again for being here. And let's start about yourself. And
Sure.
Who is Patrick and how do you define yourself?
I like to think that I'm someone who's very driven, very passionate about making a difference. I believe you only, have one kind of chance at life, and I think you only have a short period of time to make a big difference. And I want to leave the world, if I can, a little better than how I found it, how I came in. With a lot of help from all the people I have around me. And so my focus has been on helping those who are less fortunate than myself, and I hope I'm seen that way.
And what inspired you to dedicate your life to supporting the neurodivergent community?
It all started when I was 18 years old. I went to work at a special needs summer camp in New York State. I'm originally from the United Kingdom, if you couldn't tell from my accent. But I got a job as a camp counselor at a special needs summer camp. No experience, never worked with individuals on the autism spectrum, and I was pretty scared. But the minute I met a young man called Nicholas, my whole perspective on life changed. I spent time with him. He's on the autism spectrum. He was 13. And I was a pretty vain, self-centered 18-year-old who thought that I was the most important thing in the world. And all of a sudden, I'm living every day of my life, every moment with him where he was, the most important. And it humbled me, and it also made me realize that, there are bigger things than me in the world. And so I came back summer after summer. I loved the work. And I always remember the conversations I had with families. And one in particular stood out for me with a mother who was talking about what was happening next. It was the end of the summer, the camp was finishing, and we were talking about, I always ask, are they going back to school? Are they going on vacation? Are they, what are they doing? Because I'm interested in their life after camp. And the mother said to me, kind of very honestly, that she didn't know what was going to happen next. And, son was finishing high school, no job opportunity, no program. And we talked a little more, and she shared that her one wish was to just live one day longer than her child, which no parent should ever wish. And just so that she could be there to take care of him. And I'm sure you guys understand that feeling about, taking care, because the world is not always kind, and it's not always understanding and accepting and inclusive. And so she just wanted to be there long enough to see him be safe. And that, no parent should wish that, as I said. And so that for me was a big moment. And I decided, okay, maybe there's something I can do to help one person with that, prospect of some kind of day-to-day life through employment or through a program or something. And so I ended up getting together with my two co-founders, who were both mothers of teenagers who are now adults, because we're almost 15 years old as an organization, and co-founding the Nicholas Center, which is that kind of adult program that does all kinds of amazing things for adults on the autism spectrum, from work support, but also health and wellness, arts and crafts, media, sports, all these great things, music and drama for adults. And then we knew that jobs were really important, so we said we also will start a separate nonprofit called Spectrum Designs, which I'm the co-founder and the CEO of, and get to run, which is really the business driving the employment for as many years and as many people as we can.
And can you tell us about your background and how your personal journey led to co-founding Spectrum Design?
I grew up with a big family, but never any experience with disability, never any family or, maybe some friends in school. But when I grew up, it wasn't as inclusive as it is now. My school, didn't have many people, or any, I don't think. It was much more segregated than it is now. And so, as I said, when I first went as an 18-year-old to work at that camp, I'd never really had any experience. But I knew that, to me, the key to happiness in life is doing something that you value and see that has more purpose than yourself, and so once I realized and found that in working with this population and trying to help and think about the adults, not just the young kids, because I think that also people forget sometimes that children on the autism spectrum become adults on the autism spectrum, live long, healthy lives, hopefully, and so there's a lot that can be done after 21. And so that was a big driver for me as well.
Another question, how do you describe your personal mission and compare it with the mission of Spectrum Brands?
It's very hard because I think my personal mission is so connected to Spectrum Designs. I do believe that I believe in the power of employment, and not just a paycheck, but what employment gives someone. It sounds cheesy, but the American dream, right? Like I'm an immigrant, right? Like, and you come to America and you hope for a better life, and employment and being able to work is one of the ways to achieve that. And so it's a better life, but it's also the paycheck, but it's also, friendships and structure and routine and self-worth and feeling like you're part of something or part of a team. And so my mission is very connected to giving marginalized groups or people who otherwise wouldn't have access to the American dream or to employment an opportunity, and include them in that experience if that's what they want. And most people want that because they want independence and they want to be able to take care of their friends and family and have all the other things we talked about that come from being able to go to work. Unfortunately, with a diagnosis of autism, that means, there's an 85% unemployment rate. So we have to do more as a country and as a society to be including people who maybe otherwise haven't been included in the past. So my personal mission has become connected to that. It's very hard to separate it because it's, my life's work.
And was there any key moment that made you to start Spectrum Design?
Yeah, it was 2011. And so we were looking at, if you remember, there was the 2008 economic crisis with the housing and everything. So big kind of instability. And so we were like Googling recession-proof businesses that could survive economic problems. And the t-shirt printing business and the apparel business is one that seems to be kind of recession-proof. But we also had to think about businesses that would be appropriate and suitable for our population of people on the spectrum. And so when you think about making a t-shirt, and I'd love to have you guys ever come and see us in New York, but there are very clear steps that can be followed and replicated over and over again. So you start with a blank t-shirt, maybe you put an embroidery on it, then it goes in a box, you fold it, you package it, you ship it out. So it's a very clear beginning, middle, and end. It's very concrete. It's not subjective, right? Versus maybe cleaning, maybe my version of finished is different to your version because you'll say, well, that's not clean. I say, well, it looks clean to me, right? So for a simple example like that, that's how I think about it. But the great thing about making t-shirts as well is, yes, it is repetitive, but it also is creative. There's colors, different styles, different designs. So there's always kind of different things going on, and you're doing tote bags and hoodies and t-shirts and sweatpants and all this fun stuff that makes it kind of interesting and creative and fun at the same time, as well as being repetitive. And when we get very busy, I'll go and pull my sleeves up and start printing, and I get myself kind of caught up in it because I love it so much, and I find it kind of reinforcing that I know I'm doing a good job, and I do it over and over again, and so I understand why it works for our population.
It looks like you have everything under control right now regarding the processes, but how was the first year when you started the business? What did you change? What did you apply? How was it?
It was very difficult. This was 2011. Even the word neurodiversity wasn't being used, right? So we've had a really good, it's been very good to have so much progress, and we're having just this. We're having conversations more and more about the importance of it. But in the beginning, it was very difficult. There was no playbook, there was no roadmap. We made a lot of mistakes, right? And you learn so much from those. But we always knew if we could run a good business that had a heart, we could be successful. And what I mean by that is like, we had to have good quality products. We had to have good customer service. We had to be priced competitively. We had to be able to deliver on time. If we could do those things and the mission was kind of the cherry on top rather than the whole ice cream sundae, you know, that would be a business that could keep working. And we had to stay true to that heart of the business, but we also had to be a good business. And so in the beginning, it was very much like, okay, people are going to order from us because maybe they're already in the autism community, they're a parent, they're a mother, they're going to give us an opportunity, but they might not come back if we don't do a good job. And so it was very important to us that we are a good business as well as having the mission and the heart there. In the beginning, it was also challenging because I think people maybe found it hard to trust. You know, they would hear nonprofit, disabled employees, and they would ask questions like, is it going to be crooked or straight? Is it going to be able to you're going to be able to deliver on time? Is it going to be too expensive? Are you going to be too slow? And so we had to prove people wrong a lot, but I loved that because I was like, that's motivation, you know? And I feel like I still say to our team today, it's more than a t-shirt. It's an example of capability. It's a proof of capability. It's what someone can do if you give them a fair opportunity. And so, yes, it is just a t-shirt that's being made, but it's much more than that when it goes out into the world.
Yes, that was my next question as well, because,
right,
you know, the reaction is not what you expect. So, and how did you do it? How did you handle it to overcome this challenge?
We've worked really hard to develop a culture at Spectrum Designs where difference is not just tolerated, but celebrated. Mm-hmm. And so when you create a culture and an environment like that, of acceptance, of no judgment, of kind of like, come as you are and who you are, and we'll embrace you for who you are and your skills, it really makes a big difference, and it makes it a lot easier because you kind of filter those the right people come to you when you put that out into the world. It's sort of like your energy, you know? So that's made it easier. Customers, kind of the same thing. Some customers are worried or they're concerned that, you know, we might not be able to do what they need, you know, and other customers love it and they want to come visit and they want to see the guys and they want to do it. So to me, you know, it maybe used to be a bigger problem than it is now, but we've gotten a good reputation where I think people trust that on the customer side. And employees, we have employees with and without disabilities working alongside each other. And so they all have to be able to understand and appreciate the magic that goes on. And if they don't, then maybe this isn't the right place, you know?
And what motivated you to diversify and start with Spectrum Suds and Spectrum Bakes?
Yeah. So Spectrum Bakes, unfortunately, we had to close. It didn't do enough business, but that was last year. But Spectrum Suds and the idea of starting different businesses was really because we didn't want to just assume that everyone wanted to make t-shirts if they were on the autism spectrum. So we wanted to give it different opportunities. But also, if you think about Spectrum Suds and Spectrum Designs is a apparel printing business, as I mentioned, the steps. But laundry, Spectrum Suds, is also multiple steps, but a very much 1, 2, 3, you know? So you sort the clothes, colors and whites, you wash them, you fold them, you steam them, you put them in the bag and they're finished and they go. And so they're very different businesses, but actually they lend themselves quite well to our population, I think. And there's not really any customer service or anything like that. So we're playing to people's strength. And they're really a great team, and our customers love to see the team in the community, especially because a lot of our customers are older and they can't carry the heavy bags. So our guys go to their door and pick it up and then wash it and drop it back off. And so it's an amazing, beautiful community business that really grew, especially from the pandemic, because a lot of people didn't want to go to public laundromats, or they didn't want to go to the laundry facility even in their building. So our team did a lot of that essential work to help keep laundry going during the pandemic, and the business grew from there. And so they're very different businesses, the apparel business and the laundry business, but they actually overlap and lend themselves to each other quite a lot. And we love having multiple businesses because we want to give people different experiences as well.
Can you mention some key lessons that you have learned through the years?
Yeah, good question. as I said, it's very important that you can have the best mission in the world, but the business has to exist and it has to be successful. And so we measure ourselves on our impact. And so Spectrum Bakes was a bakery granola business, so it's very seasonal. So right now we were very busy because the holidays and everyone was ordering, but January, February, very little, right? March, April. And then the problem with the summer is, you're shipping chocolate granola and it's melting in the heat. And so it was just very hard. And food is complicated as well. It's, there's obviously risk with food and diets and stuff. So we were only employing 2 people, and the revenue just wasn't big enough to justify the amount of time and energy we were putting into it. If it was employing 100 people and we were, then that's a different thing. But it was a decision based on impact and sustainability. And so those 2 things weren't enough to continue with Spectrum Bakes. But the 2 employees did go to work for Spectrum Designs and Spectrum Suds. So we didn't lose any employees, which was a beautiful thing. But it's still difficult. But I think you learn more from your failures than your successes. And what it allowed us to do was focus more on Spectrum Suds and Spectrum Designs, and they have grown since. Whereas when we had the 3 businesses, we were kind of like, trying to do too much. And sometimes that's not a good thing, even though it's exciting and fun to have different businesses. You can sometimes actually dilute and weaken them by accident. And I think that was happening. And I'm happy that it was the best decision we made. And it was a hard one, but sometimes saying no is more important than saying yes. And
have you thought maybe your mission is too much? It's like too challenging, and sometimes,
but I think anything that is hard is worth doing. The stuff that is hard is not so much the mission, although I wish we could employ more people. I feel like we haven't done enough. We have 77 employees. I think 55 of them are on the autism spectrum. That's not enough for me, and so I think the mission is to just keep doing more and employing more people ourselves, but also encouraging and inspiring other businesses and sharing in platforms like this best practices and advice and helping others, because we can't do it alone. So no, I think it's more that I just want to do more.
And how has been the public reception when you talk about a big part of your team are on the spectrum?
Overwhelmingly very, very positive. We had a video that went viral on our social media this year that got us 28 million views and like 100,000 new followers, and it's amazing. I mean, the comments are so positive. Of course, there's some negative, silly comments as always, but overwhelmingly very positive, very supportive, loving, and I think the world is getting kinder. I think the world is different to when I grew up, and I think you guys nodding too. Like I do think that more and more people are understanding that the world needs all kinds of minds to solve its biggest problems, and everyone should have a seat at the table. And I know that sounds kind of but like deep down, we're all human beings that want the best for each other, I think, and so the positive reaction from the public it's been really encouraging, and we'll continue doing it.
And how would you describe the impact of Spectrum Design on the employees and their families, their life? What would how do you say it? Is it?
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, if that's okay. We were very busy, and we were printing shirts, and we had to do a Saturday shift. We normally only open Monday to Friday, but we had to run a weekend shift. And we were trying to get people to come work. And I called the mother of one of our employees because I had to ask her permission if he could come work on Saturday. So I called her and I said, hey, we're running a Saturday shift. We need Greg. Can he come in? I need him to come work. And he's 32 years old. And she said, no one's ever told me they needed him for anything in his life. And I said, wow, but can he come and work? I need to come work, But the point is that like for the mother, for the family, to hear that after 32 years, that her son was needed, was valued, was part of something. Yeah, it's amazing. And so that was enough for me to whenever I feel frustrated or down, I remember that, and I remember that for the families, for the friends, like the mother's head rests easier on the pillow at night, you know, knowing that their son or daughter is somewhere safe and that they're wanted and they're part of something. And so I always think that, you know, I care about the employee because that's my employee, but they're attached to a whole family and network of friends and who love them, right? You guys know, and so who want the best for them. And so that is a responsibility that I hold dearly as well, and a real benefit that I don't think when we started, I certainly didn't think about. I just thought, let's create a business and help people, but like you don't think about, you know, the other people that it helps and who worried so much their whole lives and now they know they're somewhere great, and that's it's magic.
And your workforce is people from the spectrum, but in different kind of support,
Yes.
non-verbal,
Right.
verbal, all of them, and all of them has a space in your company.
Yeah,
It's important because some people said maybe my son is not he's not able to do anything because he is not verbal or something like that. So it's important to give a message that everyone can have a space in to work and be independent in somehow.
I agree. My co-founders' children would be considered higher support needs, you know, like, or lower functioning, as we used to say. And so philosophically, as an organization, we've always felt that it was important that we hired across the autism spectrum, because we could just hire people who needed very little support. Maybe they drive to work, maybe they Asperger's, you know, the old Asperger's syndrome. But that there are many people on the autism spectrum who can do a lot of great work. They just need the right environment and the right support. And we have people who have one-on-one job coaches who are nonverbal, non-speaking, and need support, all the way up to people who maybe they have 1 hour a week to check in with someone, or they work in natural support. So it's very important to us that philosophically we hire different roles across the autism spectrum. And even in our social media, we make sure that we feature different employees who maybe they speak with a device, or maybe their job coach will talk with them, you know, on the camera, because obviously when social media, it's easier just to go, hey, tell me about spectrum. But you want to have a representation of the whole autism spectrum. And so we do our best to do that. That's something we believe in very deeply.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Another question, if you could change something regarding employment opportunities for people on the spectrum, what would you change?
I would want more employers and businesses and companies to realize the power of the autism workforce and the employees. Spectrum Designs is successful not in spite of our autistic workers, but because of them. And we have become a company that is better because we have that. And I would want more employers to realize that and to give an opportunity to a workforce that is loyal, dedicated, hardworking, wants to work and is ready to work if they're just given an opportunity. And I think if I could change anything, it would be that more employers did that, because there's so many people who deserve an opportunity and they're not getting it yet. But the more we talk about it, the more we show and demonstrate the power of, neurodiversity, of autism employment, the more I think people will wake up to it. So we still have a long way to go, but it's not where I wish it was. I wish it was a bit further.
And how do you envision Spectrum Design in 10 years?
More locations. We have 2 locations now. I would love to have, 10 years. Maybe, maybe 5, maybe 10. I don't know. Miami, that'd be nice.
Exactly.
Of course, you're ready.
We're waiting.
Yeah. Listen, I need a suntan, so that'd be good. Miami, but no, multiple locations. I'm from the UK. I would love to obviously have a UK version, but for me, it's about if I can do that, or just be seen as a company that helps other companies do it too, right? Like, because even if we do 10 locations or 50 locations, it's still not enough. So helping, sharing best practices, helping inspire other companies, other businesses to start, or existing business to employ people. But yeah, for Spectrum Designs, I'd love to grow and impact more people, because if we can grow this business, we can open our doors wider and wider. And I think that the model is replicable, and I think it will impact people around the country, and I think that can certainly think that could happen in 10 years, and if I'm still here and doing it, then I hope that's what we're doing.
Talking about that, you are from UK. How do you compare the neurodivergent community in terms of employees and jobs in the UK and here in the United States? Because when we started, we realized that the UK is really advanced in many things, and the people is more open saying that they are autistic. And how do you compare UK with the United States in terms of entrepreneurship and employees and jobs?
So yeah, in the UK, I think there's much more government support than there is in America, which isn't surprising. America is built on kind of, self-made, do-it-yourself kind of thing, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think there's more government support in the UK, but in the UK there's less corporations doing stuff, so it's very interesting. I think that what we do could work in the UK, but there's more of a government idea of supporting people through the government than there is through employment. But it's changing all the time. In America, we get less government support, but I think there's a spirit of like entrepreneurship in America. There's a spirit of kind of the underdog story, the rags to riches, and we love that in America. And I think that's why Spectrum Designs and social entrepreneurship is so unique here. But there's less of the government, there's less of the understanding. I think in the UK, certainly, there's an idea that people should have an opportunity, and there's more of a collective idea that we should all be together. In America, it's kind of, people love what we do, but they're like, you do that there and I'll do me here, and I'll help you, but you keep doing that, it's different though. I think both countries could learn from each other,
Next, what have you been your most rewarding moment for you as CEO?
Wow, there's so many. And sometimes they're big, right? Sometimes it's a viral video made by an autistic, marketing or social media person. Other times it's giving someone their first paycheck, and when they're 35 years old. I mean, I'll never forget doing those things. Talking with parents who, because their son got a promotion, he could move out and live independently, or someone who's gained so much confidence from their job because they were so anxious and didn't talk to anyone, and now they made a friend at work, because so many of us make friends at work, and so there's not really one moment. There's lots of little ones that make up big moments, or make up the big feeling that I have. And I say there's no such thing as a bad day at Spectrum Designs, because maybe you have a bad morning, right? Maybe something goes wrong and we screw up an order or something, or I'm tired or whatever. But then someone says hello and how are you, or learns a new skill, or does something amazing or funny, or tells you a joke, or just is themselves, and that makes your whole day better again. So I think it's lots of great moments. So every morning when I wake up, I'm just like, I'm excited to go to work, because I know I'm gonna learn something new from the people I work with. And my biggest worry is that they will teach me more than I could ever teach them, but I'll keep coming back.
Yeah, the experience as a person is huge, and by default, you see the results in the business.
Yeah,
it is amazing. I hope all the companies could be open to understand that and to provide more opportunities to people on the spectrum.
Me too.
And what would you say to the old Patrick, the Patrick who started in 2011? What advice would you give him?
Don't give up, and if you don't ask, the answer's always no. Because I was too shy. I was very English and British, and I just kind of don't want to bother anyone. But like, if you don't say, hey, can you help me, or will you do this, or people will not even know if you need help. And so I think my biggest thing is, if you don't ask, the answer is no. And so making sure that old Patrick knows that. But also, I always just thought about the job. I didn't think about what the job meant. I thought about just get a job and get a paycheck, but I didn't think about our employees going to get ice cream after work, and like seeing them all together when I'm just leaving to get in my car and they're all getting ice cream, and I'm just like, wow, like, so I'd love old Patrick to see that, because that was like, we started in a barn with like 2 people, and so that's pretty special.
That's really inspiring, for sure. This story for us is amazing, really.
Thank you.
Patrick, before we go, what message would you provide or give to the people on the spectrum and to the companies that want to involve neurodivergent people in their teams?
So to the companies, I would say just start with one. Don't worry about big and don't worry about the fear that stops people moving forward with hiring people on the spectrum. Just start, just do it. And the odds are, if you have a company, you maybe already have people on the spectrum or who are neurodivergent working there. So don't be scared, right? Because it will be the best decision you make as a business leader. As to the companies, to the autistic job seeker or the family member or whatever, never give up, right? Same as everything, there is always hopefully going to be opportunities. There will always be more. There will always be people who believe. You just have to find them. And I believe that everyone has something unique and special to bring, and that everyone can do something and contribute something. So even if you feel that your son or daughter could never do work at Spectrum, I bet you they could. And we find ways to do it all the time. And I just love when parents say that to me, because I'm like, just have them come and see it. There will be something, and we will build from there. We have to start with believing that people can do things, and then letting them do it. Same as if you don't ask, the answer is no. If you don't try, if you don't give an opportunity, it's going to be a no. And so don't give up on that.
And just my last questions to finish this interview. How would you like to Spectrum Designs to be remembered in the future?
These are good questions. I think I'd like Spectrum Designs to be remembered as a company that was truly inclusive, that was truly about neurodiversity and autism, and was celebrated the power of that. Not that we were a company that employed people or who were on the spectrum, or that we were a company made up of that people, and that we were no different to that. We were just a company that was powerful like that. I think that maybe we're one of the first companies to ever, do it the way we've done it. I hope that it would be nice if people said, oh, Spectrum Designs did it, but then lots of other people did it, because it's not enough for just us, so maybe to be remembered as maybe the one of the first, but that inspired lots of others, because that's more important than me and, the company. It's like, what else happened afterwards, and so I'd love it to be remembered that way, as maybe the inspiration for more.
Thank you for your message, for your story, for your company, and for all the impact that you are having right now for the families and the autistic community.
And thank you to you too, because without the conversation, without the spotlight, without talking about it, without people knowing, we can't do what we do, and people need to hear this message as well. So thank you for the work and giving me the opportunity to share our story and so many others. It's the only way we can keep moving forward. So it's great work. Thank you so much.